we've got a full house tonight. How awesome is that? Thanks for coming. My name is Pete. If you haven't already had contact with me in the gym yet, I've been in this whole industry for about 15 years now, and I've been doing what I've been teaching for the last 10. And hopefully tonight what I can do is give you a new opportunity, because not a lot of people are talking about this or even really understand how to use the information I'm about to present. So the title of the presentation is How to Get Lean and Build a Metabolism Without Eating Like a Sparrow or Exercising Every Day. Obviously that is enticing, that's why you're here, but tell me, how does that sound to you? If you could do those things without doing those things, does that, I don't know, I want to make this as interactive as possible. So, well, what do you think about that?
It's good. Yeah.
Good? Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully you think it's really awesome by the end. So before we get started, I just want to establish this, is that your past failures, they weren't your fault. You can do this, you just need to be accountable to the right person and the right information. The fitness industry is designed to keep you on that diet cycle. The 6-week challenges, the 8-week challenges, the cleanses, the detoxes, they're all short-term fixes, and whether by intention or not, this is the culture that we've sort of created around this whole gym, fitness, fat loss thing. And it's serving nobody, because we're just getting fatter, unhealthier, and less energetic than ever. So I want to propose to you a longer term fix, and if I can achieve giving you this whole mindset switch over the course of tonight's presentation, my goal is achieved. You can have it all, you can be lean, and what I mean by being lean is less body fat, more muscle mass. And I'll tell you why that's important throughout the presentation as well. But you can be lean, you can be healthy, you can have all of those things that you want without silly regimes and going to the end of the earth to try and get it. So, if you're here to lose weight, or even if you're here to gain weight, the information tonight will be applicable for both of those types of people. You'll learn how to build this thing called a metabolism that supports any goal you have. So whether it's a performance goal, whether it's a body shape goal, whether it's simply for health. This metabolism thing underlies everything. So this is the thing. Keeping your results is quite often not very focused on. It's more about the before and afters and how quickly we got there. I'm actually more interested in the after shot. So the after shot, 2 years down the track, where's that person got to? And have they been able to maintain what they've achieved? And have they been able to get better? Those are the things that matter. And I want to show you tonight that building your metabolism, the only way to build your metabolism is to reprogram it. If you think about your metabolism, it's essentially just a computer. We feed it ones and zeros every day, and we can tell it to do whatever we want it to do. So you might be looking at me thinking I've got my shit together, right? And I want to qualify myself to you tonight, because I was a former fat boy, right? And by that what I mean is, man, I was in 36 pants as a 12-year-old, and I was very self-conscious as a kid, which led me to pursue this career path, so I wouldn't take that back for anything. However, I did get into the industry fairly early, and I did do some silly things, but right now, I've had those genetics, I've got those bad genetics. I'm a competitive bodybuilder, I run 2 businesses, and I'm also a dad. So for all the dads out there, you know what it's like trying to support the household and spend time with the kids and juggle the relationship and all that. Those are the things that I experience, and that's the learning curve that I've been on over the last few years. So here's just a little bit of a background of where I've been. That's my first competition there on the left. I use myself as an extreme example. Obviously, not everyone wants to get up on the stage. It's not very flattering, standing up in sparkly drops and painting yourself in chocolate. But that's my thing. That's what I do. Everyone's got their thing. This is the extreme of fat loss. This is getting, fairly lean, doing crazy things to get there, and I was doing some fairly crazy things there on the left, which eventually, over 3 years, I've shifted 120 kilos of my own body weight. 3 years. Put that in perspective. 3 years, 120 kilos was either taken off or put back on. So the way it sort of happened was I would take off 20 kilos and then I'd put 20 kilos back on. Or I'd take off 15 kilos and I'd put on 20 kilos. So this whole rebound effect started to occur. Eventually, my metabolism shifted. And that's me there on the right there. After just opening our own body transformation studio. Very awe-inspiring. So here's the thing. Most people fail to build a metabolism because of a certain set of motions that I've found are very common across everybody that I've met. Hundreds of people that I've met in my career. They all seem to have this same pattern where they'll often fixate on an outcome. Tell me, have you ever joined the gym and said, yep, it's time, I'm going to lose 10 kilos, or I'm going to get into that dress that I used to fit into 10 years ago, or I'm going to get that six pack. I see some heads nodding. That's good. It's a start. On the right track. I believe the way you should view this thing is work out where you failed in the past, and once you know that, then you can take more educated steps forward. What do you think about that? Rather than just sort of shooting in the dark and getting a big gun, a bazooka, and trying to shoot a little target. We want to be snipers. We want to be very strategic in what we're trying to do here. So if you've ever fixated on an outcome, you would know that what comes next is you often launch into the unsustainable. So you exercise twice a day, you exercise every day, whichever your level of unsustainable is. Then you decide that you're going to cut carbs because carbs are bad, or you're going to cut fats because fats are bad, or whatever the popular consensus is at the time you cut. Right now it's not eating, so we're starving ourselves. It's quite funny actually. Half the world, this is how I see the world, half the world is starving, right? And the other half of the world has the food there, but we're starving ourselves to get healthier. It's really weird. But we launch into this unsustainability, and all of a sudden we're doing all this work, we start questioning things. Things aren't happening fast enough, so we start to look on the internet, talk to guys in the gym. We start to look for other sources of information, and we get confused, and we add bits here from this person and take bits from there, and we end up with this mumble jumble kind of effect of it's our own version of what we think we should be doing. And often all you're left with is no result, and you've done all this stuff, but you don't know what's worked, you don't know what hasn't worked, you don't know where to start fixing or moving forward. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you where you need to start. I'm going to give you the answer, the secret, the pill. Someone in here was talking to me throughout the week about that. You're going to give me a pill. I'm like, no. Maybe some common sense in the pill. Metabolism. It's this thing that a lot of people think that we're born with and we don't necessarily have much control over. It's actually the opposite. Everything we do, from the time we go to bed, to what we've looked at before we've gone to bed, the food that we've eaten or not eaten throughout the day, the exercise, the movement, everything we do, everything in our environment affects this. And this is our metabolism. Now, your metabolism is akin to a hairy bag of chemical soup, unless you've had a wax in the last 24 hours. You are a bag full of chemical reactions, and these billions of chemical reactions occur every single second of the day. Whether you're awake or whether you're asleep, your metabolism is churning over. In fact, I'd argue that your metabolism is working harder at night time just to recover from the day's worth of stress. So your body is constantly working every single day, and what comes from that metabolism are these three things here. So how you look, or body composition. What do I mean by that? You can take a guess. Yep. So how much muscle you have versus how much body fat you have. That's your body composition. At least the stuff that we can affect. We can affect those two things. Energy. So whether you bounce out of bed with energy every morning, get through your day without a 2 p.m. slump or looking for something sweet. The opposite, whether you actually can wind down at night. So this is all tied into function and energy, because I know through the whole parent cycle that we've just been over the last few years, that you do get into a situation where you are bright-eyed, bushy-tailed throughout the night, and you're just dead as a doornail throughout the day, because your body clock's just switched on you. Right, so this is metabolism. This is the things, the kinds of things that it affects, and your health as well. Your metabolism affects your health chronically, so over the long term, obviously, but also the short term. So your ability to fight off infection in bacteria, and your ability to not get infected by infection or bacteria. So if you are suffering with a cold and you've been struggling with kicking the cold for the last 2-3 weeks, then your metabolism isn't working for you right now. So these are the things that, when you focus on your metabolism, you can fix. Alright, it's Thursday night. We all walked out there now. Do you think we'd have a busy gym, or it'd be pretty quiet? Busy? As busy as a Monday night?
No.
Definitely not. So, let's start to talk and focus on why most people fail to build a metabolism. And most people fail to ever really build a metabolism because they're using exercise the wrong way. Who wants to have a guess at what I mean by using exercise as a trade-off?
Too much cardio, not decent food.
Yeah. Who's ever had an indulgence on the weekend and said, oh, I've got to go out and do some cardio to burn that off? Had some drinks over the weekend, I've got to go and do some cardio to burn that off. Yeah, there's some laughs in the crowd. Cool. The plane's landing. So if you've ever done that, you've used exercise as a trade-off. I know I have. I've used it as a trade-off. I'm pretty extreme. You ask my partner, you ask Megan, we all know Megan, so most of you do. She's my partner. She will tell you right now, I am a dieter. I'm a dieter when it comes to my food and my exercise, but I'm an extreme person when it comes to everything. And to attest to that, there were times where I was doing those bodybuilding competitions where I would go for a 3-hour walk. I'd get up at 4 a.m. and go for a 3-hour walk just to burn off what I ate on a cheat meal. Pretty crazy. I didn't just go straight to that. But these things happen. They happen through, all right, well, I'll go and do a half-hour cardio session because I've had a cheat meal. And then, a few months down the track, all of a sudden you're doing 2 hours cardio because your cheat meals have gotten massive, right? You can't control yourself. So whether or not you're extreme as me or you're not, most people in some way, shape or form will use exercise as a trade-off. So this is a pie chart, and this is a bit of a way of me showing you how much of an influence exercise really has on your metabolism. Is anyone surprised by that number?
Yep.
The daily workout will only ever account for up to 17% of your daily energy expenditure. So that's essentially what your metabolism is, your daily energy expenditure. And a daily workout, 17%. No matter how hard you work or how long you work, 17% is it. The body can only burn up to 10 calories per minute. Now, despite what your watches and your machines tell you, 10 calories per minute is about max, right? And this has been tested, gold standard, inside big chambers, oxygen chambers, that measure calorie expenditure. 10 calories per minute, and to do that, you've got to sprint as fast as Usain Bolt does in a 100-meter sprint. That's 10 calories per minute. Now, a 100-meter sprint lasts about 6-7 seconds to him. There's no way he could keep that up for a minute, let alone 30 minutes or an hour. So the longer you work out, the less intense your workout will get. So therefore, you actually do less as time goes on, and you get less benefit from it as time goes on as well. So this is Kerry, and I wanted to use Kerry as a great example of somebody who's reprogrammed their metabolism. She exercised inconsistently, and she didn't use exercise as a trade-off. She actually determined her exercise based on how well rested she was. And as a mum with 2 boys under 2, she wasn't very well rested. Therefore, she wouldn't recover from an exercise session. So the exercise was null and void. When I say inconsistently, I say she probably exercised once or twice every 2 or 3 weeks. And she still got a fantastic result. I get it all the time. Shift workers will come in and they'll say, oh, Pete, look, I can't do your 10-week program because there's 20 sessions and I won't get 20 sessions. I won't get my 20 sessions in my 10 weeks. And what I say to them is, you've got to switch your value systems around. It's not about getting here 20 times in 10 weeks. It's about doing the best you can in those 20 sessions. If you only make 10 sessions but you make progress, well, you've got a result, don't you? Yep. So here's the thing. A lot of people walk into the gym and they don't really know what they're going to do, so they do something based off feeling, right? That old feelings brain of ours in the driver's seat. And typically, instead of getting under a heavy barbell, you go under some cables or a nice machine you can sit in, or you will get on a treadmill instead of venturing over into the barbell section, right? Getting a structured plan eliminates the feeling brain. Getting a structured plan will give you a framework to improve on. And it's not about having to do everything that's on that structured plan, but it's just a way of measuring your efforts, right? There's some athletes in here that would agree with that, I'm sure. The thing is to not use exercise as a trade-off. What you need to do is you need to stick to it and not add anything. That's probably where a lot of people fall over, is that they feel as though when they get a structured plan, they'll feel like that it's not enough. I want my result quicker, so I'll do more. Or if I want to have this on the weekend, I'll do more. So that's secret one. Get a structured plan and stick to it. All right. The second reason a lot of people tend to fail when building a metabolism is they diet, they cut calories, carbs, fats, or they skip meals, they try and clean their bodies, those sorts of things. Looking at those 2 photos, I want you to imagine that photo there on the right is any high energy snack or meal of your choice. Your favourite high energy meal. My favourite high energy meal would have to probably be, I saw Krispy Kremes and a waffle maker the other day and that looked pretty good. Right, so high energy there on the right, whether that's a sandwich that you're having at lunch, and then low energy there on the left. Now let me tell you a story. You just started your gym, you're exercising twice a day, or you're exercising once a day for a couple of hours, or even just an hour, whatever it might be. You've just started your exercise plan. What's the next thing that typically happens from there? You start to get conscious about, you know what's good for you, you know what's bad for you, don't you? So you cut what's good. You cut what's bad. You don't cut what's good. It's not good, you cut what's good. But you cut what's bad, right? So all of a sudden, you're used to eating that there on the right, and that sized meal there on the right. Look at the 50-cent coin, look at the size of that meal, and then you switch to eating this stuff on the left, right? Your stomach hasn't grown yet. Your stomach is still pretty small, used to those portion sizes there on the right. So now you're having that on the left. You see what's going on here? You're not feeding yourself enough. No wonder it's so unsustainable. So maybe you switch from going from something like that to a meal plan with stuff on the left. Is it as sustainable as you might think? Maybe we need to take a slower approach. aha moments? Yep. Bombs dropping. Cool. Awesome. So, your metabolism is this thing, you can't measure it. And when people start talking like about equations and BMRs and TEDs and all this sort of stuff, my eye starts twitching because I can't conceive how, as you know, a complex soup of reactions, how we can even fathom trying to calculate it. Anyway, we try to because we like to put these conditions around things. Eating can actually account for almost as much as a daily workout if you're eating the right foods at the right time and enough of the right foods. Let's take a look at some more comparisons. There's another message in these comparisons. Can anyone tell me the other message? So I've just told you that you might not be eating enough energy if you make the swap from the right to the left. But what happens if you start to slowly swap the stuff that you're having from the right to the left? You literally can't overeat. I think nobody in this room would be able to, maybe Travis down today, hammer down that plate full of veggies, you know, in a sitting maybe twice or 3 times a day. Right? So if you're eating from the left for the majority, then you're going to have a very hard time overeating. Counting calories, counting macros, portion sizing, all of that sort of stuff goes out the window in the initial phases. Because when you go from not tracking anything, starting to change your lifestyle, you know, you go from couch to 5K like that, 0 to hero kind of thing, that situation where you're just beginning. Just starting to eat from the left is probably the most powerful thing you can do. And this is probably one of the best transformation case studies that I've ever seen, and you know, I'm a little bit biased, but my partner, but Megan got lean here on over 3,000 calories a day. I don't think any guy in this room would eat 3,000 calories a day. She had to eat 3,000 calories a day because we strategically increased her food and found that the chronic fatigue that she was suffering with, the glandular fever, and all of the knockbacks that came with it, eventually went away when she ate enough food. And she still managed to get a 6-pack. That's a 2-year transformation. That's the postpartum photo there on the left. So she didn't diet, she didn't cut calories, didn't cut carbs. She actually probably only ate 90% of what she intended to. The other 10% were meals out with her mum or, you know, drinks with the girls. So that brings me to secret 2. Eat more of the right foods at the right time. This is where diets come unstuck because they don't give you the next step. What happens when you start reducing your food choices is you have to start replacing them or something will fill the void. In the space of a vacuum, it's physics. Everything has a void filled. So you need to start to increase the food you're eating after those initial stages. All right. I love my zone belt, I do. I really do. But the problem with the craze around personal trackers at the moment is that we're focusing on burning our bodies rather than building our bodies. We can't track building. It's very hard to track building. But we're focusing on burning calories in a workout. You know, all of that kind of stuff is where our focus lies. And it's a big problem because what happens is if you keep burning the candlestick at both ends, you end up with burnout, right? And sometimes, most of the time, you can't explain it. You go to the gym, you go really well for a month, and then all of a sudden you're not there for a month. You know, you see 10,000 points up on the MVP's board, and then all of a sudden they're not on the board for the next couple of months because they're recovering, right? Because the focus is on burning rather than building. The other big, or the two-thirds of your metabolism and the energy that you expend every single day is related to or influenced by the muscle that you carry around in your body. So the more muscle you have, the more fat you'll burn every single day, right? I mean, a lot of people know that. I can see a lot of heads nodding, which is great. Good that it's finally coming to light. But this here muscle thing is pretty hard to build. It's not as easy as just drinking a couple of protein shakes, eating some tuna at morning tea, and doing a couple of weight circuits. You actually need to have a structured approach to doing it. So your muscle mass, or your muscle size, is directly related to how strong you are. So the stronger you can get, the more muscle mass you carry. So a linearly periodized program, one that pushes you to lift heavier each week, whether it's by a kilo or half a kilo, is going to be the best way to build muscle in the gym. Helen's a good example of being on the other side of 50 and building muscle, improving your metabolism. The thing with muscle is it does a lot more than just sit on your bones. So it's a dynamic reservoir for your immune system fuel. There's a compound in it called glutamine, which your body takes daily deposits from to fight off infection and bacteria and so forth. So just much like your bank account, you go and buy coffee, and your bank balance comes down, and you go and buy lunch and it comes down some more. Imagine doing that, but not actually getting paid every week. What would happen to your bank account? Pretty sad, wouldn't it? This is what's happening right now. In this moment, you're on the other side of 30. You could be the typically healthy Australian adult, and you'll lose 2.5 kilos of muscle mass over the next decade, and you'll replace that with 5 kilos of fat. That's on average, right? So this muscle mass is pretty important. You agree? Yeah. It also stores really readily available energy. So if you think about the other day, I had to catch my daughter's head as it fell from the bench. Not that she was sitting up, I shouldn't have had her on the bench. But from going from there to there, that's a reflex, right? And that doesn't require oxygen. That's the muscle energy that's stored there. So if you need to sprint, if you need to move somewhere quickly, muscle's going to help you do that. That's secret 3. Secret 3 is, rather than focusing on burning all the time in the gym, what we need to start to do is shift our focus and use our gym sessions a little bit smarter and focus on building this muscle mass. As you can see there, that's a linearly periodized program. Dumbbells and barbells are by far the best body shaping tool, muscle building tool that we've got. And it's those little increases that are the magic. Who watched my live video on Tuesday night? Anyone watch that?
Your shoelaces are undone?
Yeah, no one. My shoelaces are okay, it's fine. A lot of people tend to focus on what they should be doing rather than what they are doing. This is where all of the first 3 secrets will come undone if you don't get this one right. You need to start to focus on what you do rather than what you think you should be doing. Because I could write the most nutritious diet on the planet for you. I could put it on a nice piece of paper, I could laminate it, and I could give it to you. But through statistics, what we know is that you'll probably follow it for, you'll probably only follow 30% of it. Right? First of all, you'll follow 100% of it, and then you'll start to get sick of what's written on there, and you might try and Google an alternative. You put the alternative in, and then all of a sudden, you haven't food prep for the week because something's come up, and then you haven't had that food available, so you've had to go and grab, the closest thing. Hungry and starving, you're not going to starve. That's actually more, so all of those habits that I've just spelled out there, they're more important than a meal plan and what you think you should be doing. Yet, the most popular app on the planet right now for fitness is MyFitnessPal. We're so consumed with numbers and putting a value on something. Believe it or not, the science of calories is about 150 years old. They burnt food or burnt certain items to determine the calorie value. It's like over a Bunsen burner. It's gotten a little bit refined since then, but it's still very inaccurate. So the calories that are on labels and packets and all of that sort of stuff can be out by up to 30%. And the values in MyFitnessPal could be out by even more, because it's a database that's not very well controlled. People can add things to it. So, what we need to be focusing on, rather, are what we call habits. Now, you've probably heard of habits before. They are what essentially allow you to tie your shoelace and not learn how to tie it every single day. Relearn it every day. They also allow you to back out of the driveway and remember you've got your phone on the bench. Habits are really important. Where they're stored in the brain, it's very primitive, and that part of the brain can't determine whether or not the habit that you've stored is good for you or bad for you. So it just keeps anything that it gets. Now in Australia, we're a society on the run and addicted to instant gratification. And all those examples down the bottom attribute to this. So if we were Olympic contenders, and we were in the Olympics for the highest incidence of chronic diseases, we would be gold medalists. We'll be up there in the tally. What I'd like to do for you now is get on a plane and let's go somewhere else in the world where you don't ever hear of them being in the tallies at all. We'll start in Iceland. So 6 months of their year is in total darkness. At 2 a.m. on the other half of the year, you can see kids kicking soccer balls at 2 a.m. in the morning on the street. So despite these bleak, long, dark winters, they have one of the lowest incidences in the world of depression. Now this is a typical breakfast in traditional villages called thoramatur. So it's pickled vegetables with fish. That's what they eat. No one's eating if you're going home and pickling vegetables. That's not my point. Let's go to the other side of the world now. It's just north from us. A little island off Japan. Lowest incidence of obesity, heart disease, and some forms of cancer. What can you see here in the two photos? If you look past what it actually is, what types of food are we eating?
Healthy food.
Yeah, healthy food. Yeah, food from the ground. Yeah, unpackaged, unprocessed kinds of foods.
Do you know how to pronounce that name?
Sorry?
Do you know how to pronounce that name?
No, what name?
The Japan name.
Okinawa.
There you go.
Yeah.
You didn't say it, so.
I didn't say it. Let's take a look at some Aussies. Some Aussies you've seen. This is something I'm really passionate about. The kitchen is the centre for the family in most of these countries that are in blue zones. It's the source of entertainment in the oven, and the kitchen table is the source of entertainment, not the TV. Now I'm not saying that these things are bad. TVs aren't bad, screens aren't bad. Like anything, to use too much of them, they're going to be bad for you. But I think we need to start to take a leaf out of their book and start to bring the family back in the kitchen, because if you've ever struggled to get your kids to eat something, guarantee if you engage them in a simple task involved in making that food, they're going to be more likely to eat it. Right? The same goes for dad, who might not like the idea of you going on another diet and eating something healthy. Right? So you can eat the stuff on the left that I was showing you before. Looks pretty boring and bland, but you can make those things into some pretty tasty stuff. We've got some garlic chicken rissoles there in the right, the jack, and we've got some legendary beef chili there on the right as well. Curry, I'm not sure what's in there, but it looks awesome. Right? And these are the habits. Oh, there we go. We've got the caption there at the top. Look at that. So these are the things that we need to start to focus on. It's more about what's available, and guarantee if you've got a fridge full of that kind of food, that's what you'll eat because it's there. Opposite to that, you've got a fridge full of other stuff, and you're going to eat that too. So food availability is basically what determines nutrition. The availability of food is what's going to override everything else. So whether you've got a good intention of eating healthy or not, what you have in your radius is what you eat. This is another pretty remarkable transformation here. Luke, he's got abs. Woo. So this is just as much for the girls as it is for the guys. He didn't measure, weigh, anything to get this result. He didn't count anything, didn't do it, like honestly, didn't track anything. I couldn't tell you specifically what he ate, but what he did do was replace his staples and his habits. So rather than run down to the local cafe to get something to eat on the work break, he took his lunch to work. Those types of things. We're going to start counting with him. We're going to get him jacked. It's going to be awesome. But from that to there, no counting. And that's the thing. You got to learn and know when to use the tools that we have. I'm not saying don't ever count macros or don't ever count calories. It's not about that. It's just about knowing where you are in the journey and utilising the tools, and only the tools that you need to do, and only make the amount of effort that you need to make. So, how to get lean and build a metabolism secret 4? Start with your habits. If you do that, chances are you're going to go pretty far further than you think you would, and you won't have to count and track every single calorie or macro. Awesome. So I'm going to start to transition now into whether or not you think the information that I've presented to you today will work for you. It's about time in the presentation where people say, "Oh, pardon me," or "I'm a shift worker," and "Oh, I'm too old." So I want to ask you: do you think what I've presented to you will work for you? Yeah. Give it a crack. Cool. Who's excited by the information that I've given to you today? Different opportunity, isn't it? It's not the same old don't eat carbs crap. Alright, so you're probably feeling pretty overwhelmed. You feel like this guy in the photo?